Hey everyone, and welcome to this video where we are exploring all the new parts of the D-line extension that have been completed. So stay tuned to see what they've done. We're currently at Wilshire Western Station, which is the current terminus of the D-line. It's going to be extended more than twice its size west all the way to VA Medical Center. We're now at Wilshire and Cloverdale, which is near the intersection of La Brea, where our first station of the day is. First, you can see here in the sidewalk that there's a lot of major construction happening under the street, which makes me wonder if it's either utility work or maybe even a sidewalk expansion. I would definitely love to see that, especially as this D-line extension brings a lot of new foot traffic to the area, just like how the sidewalk is widened over here, but I feel like the lane is going to be recollected by road traffic. What you see in the distance is a Metro Rapid 720 bus, which is one of the busiest bus routes in America, which serves Wilshire Boulevard, where this subway extension will open. This will take a lot of relief off that route, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it in the future. And with that out of the way, we are now at the entrance to the future Wilshire La Brea station. It'll be located on the left side of the intersection, and the right side is currently being used for either utility work or storage. Now you'll be able to see the entrance to the station on the left. Let's go take a closer look. Now the sidewalk for the station appears to be under construction, which is why the Wilshire Boulevard is being cut down to 2 lanes in each direction, with the other lanes, the third lane, being used for pedestrian traffic. Lucky for us, it looks like that sidewalk is mostly completed and even the lamps are installed. Fire hydrants are installed, and it looks like it's pretty much ready here, the concrete. Since we've last been here a few months ago, it looks like there's a new structure here that's been created, and it looks like it's probably for the elevators down to the lower level. And you'll be able to see completed versions of the elevator in the next station, so stay tuned for that. The concrete was also completed all the way through to the end of the station, along with some nice lampposts. Now this is a good sign of major progress, especially as the deadline for this phase 1 of the extension opens, which is the end of 2025. Here's a map of the current phases of construction, with the first 3 stations scheduled to open this year, and the next 2 scheduled to open the following year, and finally all the way to VA Medical Center will open in the year 2027, before the 2028 Olympics. Now here's another angle that showcases more of what we saw last time, which was the finished station entrance structure. It's similar to the one located at Aviation Century, and it'll be similar to the ones that you'll see throughout the video in the next stations. And now you may also notice the flooring of the station is multicolored, and that's because Metro has a design for it, as you can see in this art rendering. And as we turn to the right, you can see that the new sidewalk has been completed, along with a ramp access to the street for those using a wheelchair device to cross the street. And another thing too is how much density there is along the D-line. As you'll see in the next few parts of the video, there's skyscrapers and all sorts of businesses, hotels, and even an area that looks like downtown LA, in my opinion, which was Century City. We'll be getting to that in a second. In the distance too, you can even see some apartment buildings. And looking down the sidewalk, it's definitely in some disarray because of the construction, and I hope they choose to repair this area after the construction of the metro station is done. All right, we are now across the street diagonally from the station entrance, where the sidewalk is dug up once again with a bridge, temporary bridge going over the sidewalk. As you can see too, there's a lot of heavy machinery around here, and that's probably to deal with the utilities around. I'm hoping Metro does choose to renovate the sidewalk to make it more visually appealing also, and maybe even add in some bike lanes, hopefully, if I'm not asking for too much. And as you can see, as we turn left, the situation is similar for the sidewalk running down La Brea. And feel free to take a look down the street. One block further from the Wilshire-La Brea intersection, there is this half-road blocked off area here, which is causing some delays here in the traffic light as cars back up. It makes me wonder what this area was used for. It possibly was used for storing construction equipment, especially during the drilling process, but we'll have to see. Now looking at the other side of the station, you can definitely see that it's been used for utility and storage areas while Metro works on the entrance to the station. I'm sure there's going to be some vents in the subway so that way air can recirculate out, and I'm sure there's going to be other utility replacement, especially from the station tunnel box. And now here's another look at that sidewalk that's been completed. I'm curious when Metro's gonna move over the temporary sidewalk here from the road and move it up onto the new sidewalk. Now looking in on this side of the station, which has the station entrance, it looks like they were just done demolishing some of the potential old sidewalk or old properties that could have been in this area. I would love to see if they would do anything cool with this area, like maybe extend the station esplanade or even add some retail or other space here. Overall, the station's probably going to provide a lot of extra mobility for this pretty dense region here on Wilshire Boulevard. So let's check out another station, Wilshire Fairfax, which is the next station down the line. And now we are at the Wilshire Fairfax station, which is going to be still in phase 1 of the D-line extension. And to start off, we have some posters here about what they're doing, which is building better transit from downtown LA to the west side, alongside some cool graphic art of the new HR 4000 series trains. And if you haven't seen those yet, be sure to check out some of the other videos on the channel. Now we're starting looking through a fence which luckily has some sight lines through these walls. And if I'm being honest, there's not too much happening here except some equipment being stored and what appears to be a surfaced area where they may put some concrete or other flooring. Now the actual site of the station entrance is just to the right on the same plot of land where we're going to take a look at right now. And as you can see, the concrete at this station is also finished, which is a major improvement from the last update we've had a few months ago. There's also elevator shafts that look pretty much completed with the glass in place. Down here, you're also able to see some of the vents that will let the subway system air out and get some fresh air. Looks like there's still cones up on the concrete, which could indicate possibly a wet surface. So this may have been resurfaced or placed into the ground not too long ago. Also looks like a new area of storage has been established right there with a bunch of wooden boxes that wasn't there previously. Looking further back, you're also able to see that the concrete area extends all the way towards the back of the plot that Metro has. There's some wood with cones around it, which could indicate some utility lines, and there's some restrooms over here for the construction workers. And these are some pretty active construction sites. As you'll see throughout the video, there will be occasional construction workers here and there, and even some operating cranes at the end of the video. Here's another look closer to the front of the station, which has a similar look just like the Wilshire La Brea station, with a glass-like modern entrance to the subway. Although this time there's some wood blocking the entrance, so we can't quite see the status of the escalators or even some of the station down below. And over here you can see a security booth, which does have a security person inside, which is great to keep the construction workers inside safe, especially as some of these construction sites are not in the best kept areas. Over here you can see that the concrete continues around the other side of the entrance with some lighting installed as well, and it makes me wonder, are they going to add any benches or even planters that could beautify the area? We'll find out later on in future updates as well. Now this area is home to quite a few nice museums here. We have the Peterson Automotive Museum on the left and the Academy of Motion Pictures here on the right, all of which are located really close and conveniently next to the subway station entrance, just like some of the other ones you'll see in the video, where the station entrance is really close to the intersection that it's named after. For example, Wilshire Fairfax. In the distance, you can also see some density with some apartment buildings, what seems to be, which is also great to help create increased ridership, especially for this heavy rail subway line. Now it also looks like there's some subway construction going on, however not as intense as the previous station, which was Wilshire La Brea. Now it looks like this is for utilities, as they have some old utility components up on the surface. And this is especially prominent and needed because of how vast the D-line subway extension is in terms of an underground network and the utilities that might need to be replaced if they are in the way of the path of the tracks. Overall, this is going to be a really great station overall for the surrounding area, and now we're going to move on to the next stop, which is going to be Wilshire La Cienega. entering the station area, we're greeted with these new Metro Purple Line extension designs, which has phone numbers for a construction hotline, which is helpful for those who need to voice concerns or if there's an incident going on. And most notably is this massive crane right here, which I believe was previously at the UCLA station further down the line in a previous video. So I'm curious what they're doing with this, possibly lifting items like escalators even into the station, although I hope those are being done by now, especially as this station is the last stop on the Phase 1 part of the D line, which is scheduled to open in late 2025, which is coming up. So let's take a closer look. We still have the temporary sidewalk over the concrete here, and the fence is walled off around most of the station, but let's see if we can get a peek in. And as you can see, the frames for the elevator are pretty close to being done. They're not as close as the previous stop, however the frames are there, and those are where the elevators will be to make the station wheelchair accessible. In the distance you can see the entrance structure to the station as well, which is, as you guessed it, the same as the other two we've seen so far, just in a slightly earlier stage in construction. You'll also notice a lot of storage components in the wood, which are going to be used for components underneath, inside the station, and of course around, with the new sidewalks and other components like the streetlights that you see. Although one thing you will notice as we turn the camera down here is that the sidewalk that they built doesn't extend all the way out here, and it makes me wonder what they're going to do with this area, since I hope by now most of the construction with the sidewalk and concrete would be completed, as I know it takes a long time for that to cure. Now here's a much better vantage point of the station entrance from the other side, where we can see the back side of the entrance that we saw earlier, and most notably, the information screens have already been installed, which would be great for displaying next train arrival times and other safety alerts. You can also see that the sidewalk has been completed in the same design, which is different colorations and patterns. And of course you see freshly installed vents for the subway area to get some fresh air. Looking past the station entrance, you can see some equipment in the back with no concrete. And here we're getting a closer look with some temporary fencing, and I'm curious what they're going to do with this area still, since it looks like they're still heavily working on utility replacement and other things of that nature. There's also this large dump truck, which could be for taking the dirt that they have produced from digging here. If you know what's happening here in this area of the station, feel free to let me know, especially as we near the end of the construction period for this line. It's great to see some good progress, especially over the last few months as we near the end of the construction timeline when it's scheduled to open. And here's another overview of the station so far, with the station structure complete and elevator shafts partly done. And you can also see in this frame just the density of this area as well. Wilshire Boulevard was an excellent place for a subway, and I'm glad Metro is working on extending the D line all the way out to the VA Medical Center. And now we're at the intersection of La Cienega and Wilshire, which is really close to the subway entrance. This will provide great connections to the Metro buses nearby and the businesses located here on this intersection. And with that, I'm excited to see how this station's going to turn out. Let's take a look at the next station on the line, which is Wilshire Rodeo. Welcome to the future site of the Wilshire Rodeo Drive station, which starts with this wall and some open for business signs, which is great for the local businesses nearby, which could be impacted by the construction. Now it makes sense, especially as we near rich neighborhoods of Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive, that there's full walls around the construction site. However, as you'll see here, we're lucky today with open doors to see what it's like inside. And you can see that the 24-hour construction hotline was also posted here for any complaints or concerns. Now, this area is not where the station entrance is going to be. Rather, it's an area likely for storage and a construction office for the construction site across the street that we'll be taking a look at in just a second. Now, in terms of convenience and location about this station, it's a little bit different than the other one since it's 3 blocks east of the actual Rodeo Drive area. So it is a little bit of a walk to get to Rodeo Drive. However, it's understandable considering the tourist attraction that it is. Now, looking to the right here, you can see the construction offices and a better look at some of the items they have stored, which could be used for the main construction site across the street. And we are now, with the power of editing, across the street at the main construction site of the Wilshire Rodeo Drive station, which has a similar design on the outside walls. However, we don't have the luck of the doors being open, so I'm going to do my best to show you guys what the construction is currently. And what you're looking at is a Metro 720 and 20 bus on the right that you just saw, which currently serve Wilshire Boulevard. And now let's see what we can get looking through the cracks of this wall. And as you can see, there's not too much happening in there, but there is some equipment parked and is likely for preparing the area for the station structure itself and even maybe the elevator shafts. So now we're going to split off Wilshire Boulevard and go down South Reeves Drive to see what we can see around the corner in terms of the station. Now the sidewalks here do look kind of interesting with the asphalt in between the cracks of the sidewalk and in little circular shapes, which makes me wonder if Metro was working on it previously. Now let's take a look inside the station from the southeast corner, and as you can see, there is still just a lot of equipment parked with a crane, which could be for placing items beneath into the actual station platform, which we will actually get a look at in the VA Medical Center station, so stay tuned for that. And here is where we are in retrospect to the other construction site, which was likely for storage and the housing of the construction office. And with that, that's all the report for the Wilshire Rodeo station. And now we're going to be looking at a new station not previously featured on the channel, Century City Constellation. And now welcome to Century City Constellation Station, which is located in a unique position not on Wilshire Boulevard, but instead in the neighborhood of Century City, which has great density for office space and things like hotels. You can see here that there's some nice fencing around the station that has the decals of the new subway trains that currently run on the Purple Line, the HR 4000 series. So feel free to click the card above if you'd like to check out those new trains. You can also see an open door here that leads into the station's construction site, which includes construction, trucks, and other equipment used to work on the station down below. Most notably is this skyscraper, which appears to be being worked on the top and the bottom, and these 2 cranes as well, which are actively lifting and lowering things into the station platform structure. This could suggest the escalators coming or any other equipment, such as seats, TVs, or other equipment to help support the operation of the station. And as you're looking around at all these skyscrapers, you may think that there's a large amount of people that live here. However, the density is about 5,170 people per square mile, which is lower compared to other areas in downtown LA. However, the working population increases the general population by quite a lot with all this office space. So that means that there'll still be a lot of ridership in the area, just mostly around work times. Now we're unable to see too much at the moment, but here is an overlay of the station, showing it's designed to be similar to others. It's got the similar station entrance pattern as well as even the sidewalk patterns. Now, another reminder is that this station is scheduled to open with the Phase 2 opening of the D-Line extension, which is going to be in 2026. Now, the actual station entrance, I believe, is actually going to be that clip that you just saw there down the street. My guess for this area is to help lift items down into the station, which may run across several blocks. And there could be separate construction for this skyscraper happening at the same time. Here's another angle looking into the station construction site. There's not too much happening, and it makes sense since the actual entrance to the station is going to be located just down the street. Now I also want to show you just how dense the office space is around here and some other things that are offered. Here is the intersection of Century City and Constellation, which is home to this massive hotel structure which has lots of tourist populations that might be riding Metro. And this station will provide access to all of this square footage of space, which is great for those who work, play, and stay in this area. And in terms of present-day connectivity, there's not much. There's no bus routes here except an LADOT commuter express route that runs only during weekdays during rush hours. The nearest major bus route is located about 2 blocks down, about a 5-minute walk, on Santa Monica, which is the local Route 4, operated by LA Metro. And with that, let's take a look at the construction site where the station entrance will be located, which is at the end of this little street here. Now, as we enter the station, we're greeted with similar posters that we've seen throughout the video, showcasing better transit to the west side and the route of the Purple Line, now D Line, after the extension opens. And as you can see, this is the Century City Constellation Station, which is 2 stops from the end of the line and the last stop in the Phase 2 extension, which is supposed to open in 2026. Now, a unique feature of the signage at this construction site is that it shows where the money for the project is coming from, which is Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, which has provided billions and billions for transit, trains, and other infrastructure projects across the country.